Since Season 7 finally comes out tomorrow, let's talk about The Dragon Prince Season 6. Probably don't need to say this, but spoilers ahead, so hit that like button and come back later. So this is probably the best season in the series since Season 3. My favorite character in this season has to be Viren. Viren was already going through a bit of a redemption arc in the previous seasons, but Season 6 makes his character come full circle as he realizes all of his wrongs and tries to make up for them by handing himself over to Katalis. So this was a really great season. Erebos becomes an even more intimidating villain in this season, but also becomes a pretty sympathetic one too. And yeah, to be honest, after hearing his backstory, his plans for revenge are pretty justified. Also, I can't believe it took me this long to realize that the opening sequence for the last few seasons of this show have been foreshadowing Erebos' true size, as you see a random character in the series turn to stone. You see a giant version of Erebos picking them up like they're some sort of chess piece. I just thought that was symbolism, like Erebos didn't care at all for any of the human characters in this series because he used them as pawns. I didn't expect them to actually be setting up his true size this early on. The philosophies in this show are by far some of my favorite philosophies in the show yet. I mainly really love this one philosophy of how sometimes it's not okay to reveal the whole truth to somebody. Basically, the quote is saying, are you telling the truth in order to help somebody else, or are you telling the truth in order to shift some of your own burden to somebody else who needs their own strength? It's just a really great lesson to a lot of people that sometimes telling the truth isn't such a good thing. Also, speaking of the quotes of this season had a lot of funny quotes too, like this one scene here where you saw Callum looking at a frozen ship stuck in the ice. And he's just saying, man, people must be sad that this ship isn't sailing. Like, this was probably a lot of people's favorite ship. All they can do is draw this ship over and over again, but they can't do anything because the ship is not going anywhere. In my opinion, Season 6 definitely has some of the best character development for these characters in this series, especially for Viren. And oh my gosh, the voice acting in this season was top notch. The voice actress from Claudia really gave her all for her performance this season, even though she wasn't in the season for all that long. I have two favorite moments in this season. My first favorite moment is when Viren sacrifices himself. Every time I see this moment, I can't help but cry every single time I see this scene. It was great to see Viren redeeming himself by sacrificing himself for Katalis and realizing his own role was that he was always meant to be a servant of Katalis to protect the people. But I always cry the most whenever I see Viren thinking about his family one last time and thinking about a potential future he could have had with them if Sora never had his illness. And my second favorite moment is when Erebos is released. When I was imagining Erebos' character, I always imagined him to be on the same size as any other character in this show. So when I saw his true form and size at the end of this season, I was shocked. I feel like when you see this guy escape his prison, you are looking at an angry god. And the more I think about it, I think that's the point, because the Star Touch elves are essentially gods within the Dragon Prince universe. I give this season a 9.7 out of 10, giving it an A+. Anyway, that's the review. Go down to this comments, tell me what you thought of the Dragon Prince Season 6. Share this vote with all your friends. And hit that like and follow button to keep up to date with all my latest content. See ya!